start. Oh, all right. Hey, how you guys doing this week? Another edition of TnT Sports. We
What's
got
going on, everybody?
good. My man over there, Thomas. This is Tye, co-host. Um, Looking forward to talking to you guys this week. We got a nice edition this week of our show. Our agenda for this week is we're gonna talk about this crazy NBA trade deadline that occurred last week. We talked a little bit last week about the Kyrie Irving trade because we recorded before the trade deadline and had no idea what was going to occur that afternoon, the next afternoon. Um, and then we're going to do a recap on the Super Bowl and so discuss how that went. And then we're going to finish off with TNT's final thoughts. So Thomas and myself, are going to get a chance to talk about any topic we kind of want to, just to let you know how we feel about the subject. So we're going to kind of start that segment. So, anything you want to say, Thomas, before we get going?
No, like I said, we were about 2 weeks in, but Ty was in South Africa,
Hmm.
and he has to enjoy a trip without doing the views. But I got a lot to say about that trash Super Bowl, so we'll talk about that in a second. But we can start off about the. I wasn't trash per se; it was a great Super Bowl, but you'll know my thoughts when I get there. It just was very disappointing. But no, other than that, I'm excited to talk about the crazy NBA. I think what was the record, the most trade that ever happened in the deadline, right? Some
Yeah,
record they said. So
yeah.
I'll be interested to talk about that.
Yeah, so yeah, let's get into it. So first, I guess we can give a recap of the trades. I mean, and to an extent, right? Like,
Yeah, right.
I'm not gonna,
The major ones
yeah,
and
we're
the
not gonna
ones,
go and talk about
right?
like, Dwayne Dedman getting traded
Oh, yeah.
to the Spurs, like, or something like, who cares? But in a high level, you know, the big trade, there was a four-team trade, which involved Kevin Durant, the Slim Reaper, who went to Phoenix along with TJ Warren, who I think is a very sleeper part of that trade, who he flourished in Phoenix, and I know they wanted him back. And the Nets received Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, and Juan Pablo Vallet, who I don't know who that is. And then they got a
Yeah.
slew of picks. They got a 2023 first round pick from Phoenix, a 2025, 2027. They got a first round swap in 2028, a second round pick in 2028 from Milwaukee, another first rounder in 2029, and
Yep.
another second rounder in 2029 um, during
And
this
just
trade.
let you know that they don't have a lot of their picks because they traded to the Rockets for Harden. So they're
That's
trying to
right.
make it up, which I love because they're going to be so terrible. Hopefully, there's going to be lottery picks, but go
Yep,
ahead.
exactly. Like, well, you better be paying somebody some,
Right.
And it's funny, the Bucks, which was like, you must really like this dude, because all in this whole trade, they gave all those second round pick stuff, and they got Jay Crowder, and they gave up George Hill, Serge Ibaka, Jordan Nwora, and three future second round picks to the Pacers, because the Pacers were also part of this
But
trade.
but but
Um,
but second round picks are in NBA, especially after pick 40.
yeah,
It's
that's
like
true.
they're not really. I always
Yeah,
tell people, name me somebody who was really nice, except for Joker, at the second round past pick 40. I mean, so.
that's
But
true.
true,
True
I
enough.
get you say it's still picks, but yeah, so.
Yeah, I mean, again, I mean, it's not even just it's I like Jordan Nwora. I just don't know why they didn't give him playing time, but whatever. Watch him do well, because I actually think he's a bucket getter. So
Yeah.
anyway, that trade. So that was that was a shock. Um,
The Durant trade?
yeah.
Yeah. Oh
Um,
yeah. Was it though?
yeah, so I mean, that's a good point. So I think once Kyrie happened, all bets were off, right? Like, Kyrie left. It was like, do we want to keep rolling with this team the way that it is,
Right.
or do we want to um break this whole thing up. And this is a pretty, and I said it during the Kyrie trade. I was like, I'm not saying you can replace Kyrie and KD, but I like what the Nets got, actually. If I'm going to speak for the Nets
Mm,
perspective first. Mikal Bridges is I mean, he's a young player, but he's a legit player. Like he knows how to play basketball. He knows how to play winning basketball. He's going to be able to get more opportunities. Here he scored 45 points the game before the end of the All-Star game with the Nets. So that
right,
quickly. So that means he can now put the ball in the bucket. They got
right,
Spencer Dinwiddie, who, yeah, he's not Kyrie Irving, but he's a 20 plus point per game scorer. You got Cam Johnson, who I think is a legit guy, and it's not like he didn't play well this year. He was hurt for most of the beginning of the year, and then when he came in, he was playing well.
right,
And then Dorian Finney-Smith, I think they got a lot of pieces, and you can actually
right,
build on it, and they're going to be a playoff team for years to come. Now they're not going to win, but
right.
they're going to be a playoff team.
Yeah, but the only issue is because that the Nets 3 years ago had the big three, right? They got Harden,
Hmm.
Kyrie, and KD,
Hmm.
right? They were supposed to take over the league, and they won one playoff series, right? And then you gave up everything, right? So I hear you because you're NBA better than most, and you'll educate a lot of people. So
Hmm.
from the outside looking in, if you're a coach or a GM, that looks good. Unfortunately, people like myself who are
Hmm.
more fans, we're gonna look at it. You gave up Kevin Durant and you gave up Kyrie for peanuts. That's what the people are gonna think of.
Hmm.
And I mean, you might get a laugh of this. Let's be honest. If we did this trade in 2K, the computer would have rejected it. The computer would have rejected the trade. Like, are you kidding me? You give me a person as a 99 and a 98,
Yep.
right? And it's in ratings for that. And
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. I actually I think from the long term, it's good, but I mean, you got Ben. You got to also include Harden in that trade. I look at it like the last year, right, or
Hmm.
2 years,
Hmm.
year and a half. Harden, Kyrie, and KD got traded, and the best player you got out of it was really Ben Simmons,
And he's
who,
not even that good.
yeah, who needs, and I don't want to make fun of him, but he has a lot of emotional things that he has to work on.
Mm.
Or maybe it's his Australian side and he's just tough, but I don't know. But no offense to our Australian fans out there, but I don't know. It looks like I mean I wasn't surprised with that trade.
Yeah, I do hear you, but I also think of it like I'm kind of thinking of it like this. The Nets swung for the fences. They were able to acquire those guys, right? Um, but it didn't work.
Right,
So you could continue to beat your head on a wall. And it's not only that, I mean, I think Kevin Durant's a great player and all this stuff, but he just the mesh didn't work. Whatever it was, I think is my opinion is the decision to not actually get a strong head coach was a big part of it. You got personalities that I don't think they really understood. You just
right,
think basketball, but you got to understand the people to be able to get them to mesh. Um,
right,
and so with that being said, your franchise was, I mean, Brooklyn went from actually people thought they were a pretty decent franchise before Kyrie and KD went there. That's actually why Kyrie and KD went there. Now they're a joke.
right,
So you got to get from being a joke. And I honestly think they're a joke because of the coaching decisions and allowing the players to
but
run the farm. And
but
so
yeah.
so go ahead.
No, I'm saying, but does it not surprise you? I mean, and that's are known for making terrible trades. Let's go back to the Kevin Durant. I mean, sorry, Kevin
Garnett.
Garnett, Kevin Durant, Durant two now, Kevin Garnett before. So they're just
Hmm.
a joke of organization. It doesn't matter who the owner is. It must just
Yeah.
be. So,
Yeah.
but I hear you. I
So
just I just think they just wasted the fans' time and money. I feel bad for all the people that got season tickets.
yeah,
Sorry, Ron, our friend Ron, who's a Brooklyn Nets fan. Sorry, I
yep.
mean, this is
Sorry.
so.
Yep. Sorry, Mr. Dukes. But anyway,
Yeah,
we talked enough about them because they're gonna be, I mean, right now they're like the 4 seed and they'll probably drop. They're still gonna make the playoffs. I still think they're actually gonna be not a easy out, but they're not gonna do anything. But we can talk about the Suns part, okay? So now The Suns, like I said, I like Mikal Bridges, I like Cam Johnson, but dang, you got
Right.
Kevin Durant with Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, and Chris Paul.
And
I
you and
mean,
I can be on the team, like
yeah,
as
whoever the fifth player is right now, it's who
yeah.
like Craig, Torrey Craig.
Corey, go Corey,
Yeah,
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 Corey
Torrey
Terry,
Craig.
yeah.
Um, they, I think they're personally, I think they're the favorites to win.
Me too.
Like I mean, it's that simple. Um, I don't know what you do now. Now Kevin Durant is going to have to play defense, so that's going to be his thing. Like Mikal Bridges played defense on the best player on the other team. Like he didn't mind doing that. He still would score a little bit. He'd give you his 15 to 18 maybe, but he was going to defend the best wing. Now they don't have that player. I mean, you can use Torrey Craig. Um,
Warren's not a bad defender.
no, Warren is a bucket getter. That's why he
But
wasn't
yeah,
getting playing time in the Nets.
very
But
true.
Kevin Durant is a great defender, actually. Actually, that's my point. I actually think
He's
Kevin Durant's a
lazy.
great defender. He's been really good this year. So now he's going to have to be a defender on
Right.
this team as well. And when he buys in, if he buys into that, which I think he will, because I think they actually have good it's a good makeup of players. They're going to be. I don't know how you're going to stop them. I don't
Yeah.
know because you got Chris Paul who's going to be able to facilitate who he thinks needs to be the one scoring right now. I think it's
Who-
Katie's turn. Oh, I
Right.
think it's Booker's turn. All right, I think it's Aiton's turn. Oh, it's my turn.
Right.
Like and Chris Paul clearly is the guy that can do it. And he won't have any pressure on him. He's not going to have to
Right.
score. But
And he's a leader. He's
yes,
not Kyrie. He's not going to worry about the
correct.
world being flat and all that
Yeah.
stuff. And he
Yeah.
also and he's the type of guy. And unfortunately, Harden saw it.
Yeah.
That's going to call you out, and
Yep.
like make sure. And that's going to be the interesting part.
Yeah.
I think
Yes.
whether that friction that might happen.
Yeah.
So
I think yeah. So we can't wait to see it. The second half is really really exciting. So that was only one trade. The other trade, there's a couple other ones. The other one I want to talk about is it's a kind of combination. It's the Clippers. They get Eric Gordon from the Rockets. They got Eric Gordon, three first year second round picks. The Rockets get John Wall again to cut
they
again
cut him. Yeah, they cut him.
already. Danny Green and a protected quick swap from the Clippers. So I don't even
Maybe
know
they
what that
basically gave
means.
him up for a brisket, like you
Yeah.
just gave him up, like, here you go.
Yeah.
Or, whatever they got in LA, like fish tacos. There's,
Yeah.
oh, here you go, throw it in there.
And the Grizzlies
Hmm.
receive Luke Kennard.
Which,
So I think it's a great clearly for the Clippers. I mean, I like Luke Kennard, but he's a defensive liability, but he's a great three-point shooter. Now you get another great three-point shooter who's not a defensive liability. Eric Gordon
mhm,
can play really good defense. We saw that in his years. And you know what? He didn't have the miles playing
right.
with the Rockets the last few years because clearly they haven't gone anywhere.
And he's
So
been hurt, too.
yeah,
He's been hurt. So he's healthy now, but he's been hurt.
yeah.
As a Rockets fan, I've been watching him. So,
So I think that was a great pickup for the Clippers. I do think it's a good pickup for the Grizzlies. They don't shoot threes in an efficient way, so now they can hopefully have a guy that can come in and hit some threes for them. Um, and what was the other? The other part of the Clippers, they also got Bones Highland.
for
Um,
the Nuggets,
yeah, it was a four-team trade, this one. So the Lakers were part of this trade. So the Nuggets got Thomas Bryant, which I thought was actually a really good pick. I was surprised the Lakers got rid of him, but I don't know. The Lakers received Mo Bamba, Davin Reed, and a second round pick. Mo Bamba's been playing well. He still can shoot from the outside. He doesn't stay in the paint, which I
hmm
think Thomas Bryant's been living more in the paint. So that might be part of the reason why they decided to do that. And the Clippers received Bones Highland, and the Magic received Patrick Beverly and a second round pick, who Patrick Beverly's already been cut
cut. Yep.
or yeah, released. So the Clippers now have a young point guard, Bones Highland, who's an efficient scorer,
Yep.
coming off that bench. They're loaded up, man. That's so I don't and then you wanted to talk about the Clippers a little bit. So you got any more thoughts on the Clippers?
No, I mean that was a good trade. They got a shooter, which they need.
Hmm.
Eric Gordon, I think he's gonna do well. He doesn't have to play more than 20 minutes, 18
Yeah,
if he has to. And then Bones is average 12 points a game. Only thing with Bones is like is he's gonna have to pass the ball. Sometimes he doesn't like
yeah,
to he don't like to pass the rocks sometimes, but we'll see what change. But you know how the Clippers are. Wherever it can the two super twos, I call them, PG and Kawhi, if they could stay healthy with that, they'll be fine. It's going to be interesting in the West,
yeah.
honestly. It's just going to be
It
Denver's
is.
probably like, what the heck just happened? But yeah.
Yeah, I know. Because then, and I real quick on the Clippers. My only issue with them, and it was issue that I've seen all year, is they still didn't get a point guard. And at the end, it doesn't hurt them until like end of games. If you've looked, I mean, even the Knicks game, like they were up by like 11 points, and the Knicks came back and basically should have won. And then they were up by 20 points or something against the Bucks, blew that. Like
Mm-hmm.
they don't know how to run an offense. Like I was saying, like Chris Paul, that's going to slow down. I think that could be the thing that
Right.
holds them back from beating the Suns because I actually think they
Right.
match up very well with the Suns. But Chris Paul is going to be the deciding factor in that type of series.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the other trade that we didn't talk about was the Lakers, Timberwolves, and Jazz. So the Lakers received D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley, and Jared Vanderbilt. People that are not NBA fans, Malik Beasley, Jared Vanderbilt were also part of the Rudy Gobert trade this summer from the Timberwolves to the Jazz, and now they're moving from the Jazz to the Lakers. Big fans of both those players.
Yeah.
Timberwolves received Mike Conley, Nikhil Alexander Walker, a bunch of second round picks. And then the Jazz received Juan Toscano Anderson, Russell Westbrook, Damian Jones, and a 2027 first round pick from the Lakers.
Well, the Lakers won that trade, in my opinion.
Big time.
Big time. You got to
Big
you got to
time.
score. You got to score Malik. Obviously, D'Angelo. We already know about D'Angelo Russell. You got to score. And Vanderbilt is a great defender, which they need,
Hmm.
especially on the wing. So they're making a final push for
Yeah.
Bron. Too bad they're not going to go past round two. If they get past round one,
Yeah.
round two. But hey, good effort. Good job to the GM. I mean,
Yeah.
so
I think it was a slam, clearly like you. I think it was a slam dunk for the Lakers. I mean, D'Angelo Russell, not because I think he's a great point guard per se, because he's not the best facilitator, but you got LeBron who wants to facilitate anyway. But LeBron wants to facilitate the guys that can hit shots. Russell
right.
Westbrook is not a three-point shooter. He's just not. But D'Angelo Russell he shoots at least 35% from three, where Russell Westbrook's shooting
Yeah,
20 something percent for three. I mean, that's a significant
yeah,
improvement. And you're going to see it immediately, which you kind of saw the other
yeah.
night when they played. So
Nope.
anyway, there was other trades too. Josh Hart went to the Knicks, which I'm happy about. James Wiseman got traded from the Warriors to the Pistons, which is crazy, right? He was a second pick in the draft, and now he's already gone. So,
Mm-hmm.
and Sadiq Bey went to the Hawks there. Kevin Knox, who's former Knick, that dude just gets traded for peanuts
But,
wherever he goes.
there's Jimmy Jackson.
Yeah.
His inner Jimmy Jackson's
Yeah.
coming out.
Yep.
So
Sleeper trade that I had not heard people talking about, and then we'll wrap this one up. Mike Muscala going to the Celtics. Huge trade. And why it sounds stupid is like people are like, I don't even know who Mike Muscala is. Where did he play? Plays for the
Buck
Thunder.
now.
Yep, he
Oh,
went
it's a
to
high
Bucknell.
scholar.
Yes, he
Yeah.
went to Bucknell, exactly. And he played for the Thunder. And the reason why the Thunder had him is the Thunder signed him when they had Paul George and Westbrook, and they were winning, and they needed a guy that can shoot. So that guy is a big that can make shots.
Hmm.
This first game, I think, with Boston, he scored like 23 points. And they're like, who's
Right.
this guy? I'm like, well, because now you're giving more space. You had Al Horford who's shooting, and he's doing as best as he can to shoot the ball. Now you got a
Right.
guy that's legit, like, this is what I do. I do
Yeah.
this. It's gonna, that was a
Yeah.
very sneaky little signing, and they gave up Justin Jackson, who wasn't playing, and two second round picks for it too.
Right.
So
Yeah, and we want our viewers to mark that. You know, these are
Yep.
the things that have you guys been listening to our podcast? There's a lot of things, a lot of nuggets we've been giving you that have been happening. So it's
Yeah.
now it's on video, so we can say
Yep.
we said it. So Mike
Exactly. Like,
Muscala.
yep. Yeah. Don't be, when you see it, don't be like, oh man, I'm like glad to hear that ESPN said this or no, no, no. TNT Sports over here said it first. Okay.
Right.
So,
All right.
all right, man. Well, enough from the NBA. The next topic is a recap of Super Bowl that was between the Chiefs and the Eagles, where the Chiefs were able to pull off a last second field goal,
Right.
38 to 35 victory. Pat Mahomes was the MVP, which we said if the Chiefs win that he would be the MVP, which was, not
Yeah.
being bold. It's just pretty obvious. Um, but I'm gonna let you go, man. What do you got
Yeah.
to say about this Super Bowl? By the way, I did watch it at 1:30 in the morning. I took a 3 hour nap in South Africa so I could get
Right.
up and watch it at 1:30 in the morning, and I watched the whole game. Great game, great game.
Right. Right. Well, first I'll say, I would say if I'm an Eagles fan, I'll be highly disappointed.
Mm.
And if I was a Chiefs fan, 2 weeks in a row, you guys got lucky. I'm just going to call it out. I know. The annoying commentator named Nick Wright on
Mm-hmm.
Fox. First thing
Mm-hmm.
first is going to say, "Oh, they're the greatest team and all that." But let's just be very candid. They won. They didn't win both these games, the last two games, AFC Championship game and this one. So so just go and recap some of the things we talked about. We said it's going to be
Mm-hmm.
high scoring.
Mm-hmm.
Both said it's going to be 3 points. We were off. It should have really been the Eagles, but 3 points. So I'm going to talk about, for me, I'm going to talk about two things that I saw that the Eagles. I'll give two things to the Eagles and then two things to the Chiefs. The
Mm-hmm.
Eagles couldn't run the ball. Like they
Mm-hmm.
couldn't run it. It was crazy to me. Miles Sanders. I don't understand the coaches what they do with the running backs. Miles Sanders will go in for 2 plays and then you won't see him again for about 10 plays.
Mm-hmm.
And he's your guy. He's your guy that had 1,300 yards and 13 touchdowns and is a Pro Bowler. I mean, I like Gainwell and Scott, but what are you doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I really feel they abandoned the run. So people are going to say, well, wow, they're gonna Jalen Hurts was throwing the ball really well. Well, the Chiefs baited them to do that.
Yep.
That was the whole game plan. The Chiefs baited them
Boom.
to throw the ball. The Chiefs are like,
Yep.
okay, you're trying to tell me that Spags on purpose left Trent McDuffie, who can't cover anybody this year, one on purpose? Do you think he gave the Jalen Watson with Devontae Smith a game on purpose? Like, are you guys watching the game? Actually, if you watch the game again, and this to me, who should have been MVP was Nick Bolton. But that's just I know the defensive linebackers won't get because he
Mm-hmm.
scored a touchdown. He made a lot of crucial
Mm-hmm.
stops.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna give it to Pat Mahomes. I get it, but to me, he was the MVP in my eyes, whether we agree or not.
Mm-hmm.
But they got baited in, and
Yeah.
they got baited into the game
Yep.
and banned in the run. They're like, oh my gosh, Jalen Hurts is looking like Josh Allen out here running the ball with his hand, throwing it deep.
Yeah.
Guys, let's be honest. That touchdown he threw to AJ Brown, that was not a
Yeah.
good pass. That was gonna. It was thrown up in the air like a flabbery duck. AJ Brown adjusted to get the touchdown,
Mm-hmm.
and I heard Greg Olson say, "Oh, what a great throw!" No, it wasn't. It was terrible, actually. It was a terrible throw. AJ Brown did it, so they
Mm-hmm.
baited them to throw the ball the whole time.
Yep.
And what happened was the second part, and go Chiefs, was that when you bait them to throw the ball, when it becomes second or third and long, when these guys are
Mm-hmm.
running the ball on first down and second down, no matter if it was 2nd and 8 or of course 1st and 10, but 2nd and 8 long, they will run and get there. They're like, no, let's have Hurts throw the ball on 2nd and 8 and roll out and can't complete a pass and get lucky with Goddard making catches. And
Mm-hmm.
by the way, I don't even know what a catch is anymore. From
Yeah. Oh
that
my
game, there was like
gosh.
3 catches
Yeah, that's
that came
terrible.
in. So on the Chiefs side of it,
Mm.
the Chiefs, Andy Reid, Eric Bieniemy too. We'll talk about a guy who's not getting a job, but they were smart. They said, okay, we're going to do the opposite. We're going to run the ball. So we're going to run the ball and put Mahomes be Mahomes. but you really think about it, Juju did, well, MS MVS didn't even have a catch. He had one attempt that game. He
Yeah,
didn't have a catch, and he had 110 yards last game, 120 yards. I'm sorry, last game at a touchdown. Juju didn't even have a reception till the second half.
right.
And Travis Kelsey did well the first quarter and kind of disappeared. So they're like, let's run the ball. Smart. It's just this is the difference between having an elite coach and
Yeah,
a good coach.
yeah.
That's the difference. So kudos to them. Again, kudos to them. The Eagles got baited, and that's what good coaches do. They got baited into that game.
Yeah, they did.
And I hope everyone's saying now Jalen Hurts number 2 quarterback NFL. I'm confused because I rewatch the game, please. The passes he was making were either and he made some good passes, but I'm not trying to hate on him. But if you
Mhm.
actually look at it, some of those passes made either Dallas Goedert or Devontae Smith or AJ Brown had to make adjustments and move around. His best throw was a 7-yard slant to AJ Brown. That's his best throw. I'm just throwing it out there, but go ahead. So,
That's funny. Man, wow, that's a pretty good take. You said I was gonna laugh. That was funny. So I, I don't disagree with you. I guess I saw it a little different. I I do think the Chiefs, I agree with you on the one part I was gonna say is the coaching. It was very clear, and it doesn't mean that Nick Sirianni is a bad coach, because I actually thought he did a pretty decent job. They had a decent game plan, but he's not as good a coach as Andy Reid. Andy Reid coached his butt off, and you gave him 2 weeks. It's like, I mean, he's like a mad scientist. This guy's
yeah.
he's gonna invent stuff and figure things out, but he's definitely gonna know how to expose you, right? People can say, and people are like, well, the Eagles. I don't know what happened to the Eagles. I heard a lot of people, well, the Eagles, I don't know what they happened to them in the second half. It's like, the Chiefs happened in the second half. It's not the
Right.
Chiefs were that great. The Chiefs were like, oh, we actually get the ball because that was the difference. The first half was a perfect storm.
Right.
Perfect storm. They converted 13 first downs on third down, the Eagles.
Right.
It was like a Super Bowl record. And that was like the first half.
Right.
So they had the ball 23 minutes in the first half, 23 out of 30 minutes. So it was like, man, they're dominating. The Chiefs aren't doing anything. Like they don't have the ball. And that's not a bad thing. I'm not knocking anybody. It just was a perfect storm. To your point, to completely agree with you, is what messed the Eagles up because they thought that that's how it was going to be the entire game. They thought that they're going to be able to complete these little short passes and continue throwing the ball and be able to run out the clock. But the key word in run out the clock is run.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened in the second half, they could never run out the clock. They could never get those possessions, they could never get those long possessions. And so when the Chiefs came out in that second half, he said, and they ran the ball on 11 of the 13 plays on that scoring drive. That was the game to me. I was like, uh-oh, it's over. And I'm sitting there
Mm-hmm.
with my wife, who's an Eagles fan. She's like, what are you saying? I'm like, I'm telling you, that's it. Because the one thing that I will give you 100% credit for, Thomas, throughout this entire playoff run, and you are batting 1,000, and I was surprised you didn't mention this, is the line play. It was all about the line play.
Right.
The Chiefs have the best offensive lines in the league. The Eagles have one of the best defensive lines in the league. The Chiefs' offensive line whooped their behind.
Yep.
They
I was gonna let
manhandled them.
you.
They
I knew you were
manhandled.
gonna mention this, so
Yeah,
I was gonna let you, bring that up. But
yeah, they manhandled them. And running the
badly.
ball, they didn't give up a sack.
Right.
And I didn't, I said I didn't want to toot my own horn, but if you go back last week, there was a certain tie on a T on the TnT group that said, "Oh, I was watching a certain game when the last time the Eagles played an offense and they got exposed, and this is how they got exposed." The Chiefs exposed them exactly the way I said they were going to expose them.
Right.
Every pass, I think, besides two, were passes over the middle or crossing routes. They could
Right.
not figure that out.
Right.
And it looked like they were figuring it out in the first half, but it
Right.
really wasn't. They didn't figure it out. They didn't have the ball to figure it out. So
You talking about the motion that was
yes.
messing them up. Yeah.
So they kept motioning it, and they're like, "Oh, I don't know which to switch off." And so what was happening is the crosses were getting them so much that on both of those touchdowns in the red zone, they faked the cross like they thought they were going to do a motion, across the formation, and went on the outside, and they were wide
Right.
open both times. That's coaching. That's understanding that the Eagles were now overcompensating for their weakness because the Chiefs had been exposing their weakness up and down the field on both of those possessions because
Right.
that is the Eagles' weakness. And I
Right.
was like, the Chiefs are going to expose it because they got a quarterback that can expose it. And they did.
Right.
And Pat Mahomes didn't have like a 350-yard game or whatever, but he wasn't really feeling any pressure. It was not like he was out there. I felt like the Bengals actually played better defense against them
Yeah.
than the Eagles did.
0 sacks for a team that
Zero.
led the NFL. Third
Zero.
most in NFL history.
Zero.
And
Yep.
2 pressures, by the way.
Yes. I mean,
Yeah.
and remember I said it? I said what are the reasons what the Chiefs can do to stop that pressure is by spreading them out. Because if you
Yep.
spread them out, they can't do the five-man rush, which they never did. I watched the game. I did not see it one time, and that's why they didn't get pressure. Now you got to get pressure with four. Oh, we can get pressure with just four. No, you can't. Not against this line.
Yep.
And that's why they didn't.
Yeah.
And those linebackers
And
got exposed.
yeah, you couldn't blitz. They didn't blitz either.
No.
Now, a lot of people a lot of Eagles fans. I was hearing chirps in the chat world about the grass. And
Yeah,
well,
it
if
was
you
bad. It
really
was
want to
bad.
talk about it, Orlando Brown threw somebody. That was not a slip by Hassan Reddick. Hassan Reddick got thrown to the ground. I was like, so he didn't slip, guys. He didn't slip. Watch the tape. He didn't slip because they're talking about he was slipping. He was literally getting thrown
Yeah.
around like a rat. And Orlando Brown, of course, he got to play his best game of this season in the Super Bowl, so he can
Mm.
get that check. He's gonna
Yeah.
get the check. But
But
you're right. But you're right. But that's why. But yeah, go ahead.
no, say, but with all that being said, I was saying about the which when I saw that happening with the Chiefs, I'm not surprised. But I will say this. I actually feel a little different than you do. I feel pretty different about how Jalen Hurts played. I thought it was the best game I've ever seen him play. And now that's not
Well,
saying much, but
yeah.
that is the best game he's played because
Oh yeah,
he
yeah. I
didn't lose
agree with
he
you.
didn't lose them that game. Like
Right, 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 right.
he played well enough to win. You scored 35 points. This is the most points that have ever been scored by a Super Bowl loser. Just by the way,
Right,
for the record. So they scored enough points to win. But
right,
like I said last time,
right,
you got to figure out a way to win the game. Both teams are going to be able to score. That was the point.
right,
Both teams are not going to be able to stop each other because, like I said, even though they're both there, and I'm not discrediting them, I also believe both teams are extremely flawed. And you watch the game, and that's exactly what I watched.
right,
Flaws. Overhyped, the most overhyped number one defense of in the league I've ever seen. Your number
right,
one defense, and you giving up 160 yards rushing and 200 yards passing. What are you doing? You're basically giving up whatever you want.
right,
And only possession 24 minutes in the entire game. You can't be
right.
giving that. You can't be doing that.
So, right. I mean, I'll give Jalen Hurts his kudos, but I won't. I'm just gonna say it, right. So, but I'll tell you why I won't give it. I mean, okay, you could put up good numbers, 3 rushing touchdowns because they do that stupid play. By the
Yeah.
way, the
Yeah.
NFL is going to get rid of that play. So you
Oh
really
yeah.
scored 1 passing touchdown because 3 of them, me and you are, we're pushing them.
Yeah.
But here's a play difference why Jalen Hurts, to me, didn't look good. The
Mm.
first drive, he had Dallas Goedert wide open down the field, and my
Mm-hmm.
man didn't hit him. And then it was 3rd and 1,
Mm-hmm.
and right guard false start. Right, they would have got the first down because they would have gotten
Mm-hmm.
automatic. Guess what? 3rd and 6, guys. Remember this play? What happened 3rd and 6? Oh, by the way, Jalen Hurts got a little nervous and ran out the pocket and fumbled the ball. Picked up by Bolton, scored
Mm.
touchdown. That's the ball game. So we can talk about stats, but I'm actually watching the game
Yeah.
through a player's lens. He didn't play that good to me. He played good statistically. You know what I'm saying? But okay, that's fine. It's like in Madden when they scored 38 points and I got the score in Madden, you still lost. It was a Madden game to me. It was like
Yeah.
they were putting in plays. But when the game mattered in the second half, he didn't make the plays. But that's good. Everyone's gonna say I'm being a Jalen Hurts
He did have a
hater.
nice
I'm not being
pass
a Hurts.
he did have a nice pass to Devontae Smith though when they were down
You mean the one
35.
that he had to adjust
27.
himself to catch the ball? You talking about the one that he adjusted himself to catch the ball?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, okay, that's. I mean, I just.
Yeah.
I look at it more like Devontae Smith was one on one, had to adjust the ball and put his feet in, and but I don't think. I mean, they called it. Oh, you talking about the one that they challenged, or is that the other one? The one
The
on the left hash or the right one?
the one on the left. The one that he
Oh
caught
yeah,
right
I'll
before the
give him that.
2 yard.
I'll give
Yeah.
him that. That was good. That was a better catch than pass. I'm just not on the hype of Jalen Hurts. Like I like him. I
Mm,
think he's going to be good, but
I'm with him.
but I just feel we annoy too many people. First off,
Mm,
Pat Mahomes is
hmm.
Pat Mahomes. Finally, people realize who he is,
Yeah.
and then we're like, now we're talking about hey Jalen Hurts number two, and we forgot about Burrow and Allen, and it just that's I
Mm,
don't get into the hype. That's the
yeah.
thing.
No, I agree with you on that part. But great
And
Super
yeah,
Bowl.
so
Yeah,
yeah.
great Super Bowl. Hopefully we'll talk about, and another about people getting paid and draft and all that stuff and money and
Yeah.
free agency when we get to that stuff. But I'm kind of happy the season's over. Um,
Mhm. Yeah,
Chiefs, they deserve it. They're champs, but we'll see. They were like, oh, can they, can anyone beat the Chiefs? Yeah, they can. I mean,
right,
but it's
right.
gonna be hard. You're gonna have to beat them. That's the thing that I will give them credit for. I'm watching that game. I was like, you're gonna have to beat them. And the Eagles,
Yeah,
they came close. And of course, and hopefully I'm glad. And I didn't want to say anything, but I feel like people are like, you guys don't want to talk about it. That was a hold. It was a stupid call. I wouldn't have called it, but it still was a hold.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. But why would it
so let's
matter?
it
Y'all up by 10. I mean,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Right.
so
You
why
scored
would it
6 points in
matter?
the
I mean,
second half, right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
let's
yeah.
go
I
there.
mean, that's where we're being. I hate when people get that. Why were you in that situation in the first place? Why happened to drive before we went three and out?
Yep.
Just on Eagles fans, please get out of the get out of the what I call in this fantasy world talking about you lost because the game at home. No,
Mhm.
you guys didn't show up in the second half. That's
Right.
what happened. So
Right.
sorry to all my Eagles. My dad's an Eagles fan, and Noria's Ty's wife's an
Yep.
Eagles fan.
Yep.
But
Talk to my
hey,
father-in-law. And Pop, I love you. But yep,
right.
hey, it's I and actually I'll give him a shout out. He said as an Eagles fan, the game is very typical to a lot of the games they saw this year, which was the Eagles jumping up to early leads in the beginning of the game and holding on to win at the end of the games and not playing as great in the second half.
Mm,
But they were holding on to win. He's like, this
yeah,
time they played a better team and they couldn't hold on to win. So
right.
that is my father-in-law. That's for you, Pop.
Mm.
All right. So we will finish this segment now with a new thing we talked about, which is just, what are our thoughts? So TNT's final thoughts. So I'm gonna uh give actually,
You
you
can
want me to
start up,
start?
man. Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
I'll start off. So
Mhm.
again, I know I'm the NBA guy. But this today actually we're filming this on Saturday the 18th of February is actually NBA All-Star Weekend, which is going to be in Utah. And um, I know growing up, it was one of my favorite things to watch was the slam dunk and the three-point contests and, all the different, then they had all different things. They had like 3-on-3 contests after that. Now they've got the skills challenge and all these other things that used to be part of the, All-Star Saturday. But my thought is this. Um, the slam dunk contest, it's becoming a joke. Okay. Last year, and I'm hoping this year is better, but last year was probably the worst dunk contest I've ever seen. And there's been some bad ones. I
Yeah,
mean, it was like I think they made 4 out of like 14 dunks or something, like total. I mean, they kept
right.
missing every dunk and it was like trying and trying and trying. I was like, what are we doing at this point? Um, the NBA's got to be better. It's a better league than the NFL, in my opinion. I stand by it. And you see, at least you can watch the All-Star game in the NBA and be entertained. I love the new format that they're doing. I love that they're picking the players before they're trying to get better, but they got to do better with this slam dunk stuff. Either get someone better than a D League player like Matt McClung. Jericho Sims, I hope the young boy does well, but he's a 6'9" center, second year
Right.
guy. Kenyon Martin Jr., he got hops, but he gets 10 minutes a game. And Trey Murphy, who he probably could be in the 3-point or dunk contest, but these are your guys that are now doing dunk contests. That means your competition is not strong anymore. So my take is love you, NBA. I'll be watching. Do not disappoint, but try to get better. Be innovative like you've been with all this other stuff, because you got to do better than this. I miss a slam dunk contest. Give me some slam dunks, like I have in the past.
Yeah.
All right, that's my take, man. What you got to say? What you want to speak on?
So there's so many things we could talk about.
Hmm.
Since you talked about NBA, I'll shift to NFL. So during this time in NFL, a lot of things happen after the Super Bowl or before too, but after the Super Bowl, especially when you have winning staff, head coaching positions, drafts coming up, free agency, and a lot of void contracts.
Hmm.
So I want to talk about head coaching. The head coaching position and who was hired and who wasn't. So Eric Bieniemy wasn't hired again. He's literally going to do 12 interviews in the last 4 years, right?
Hmm.
And he has not been hired. And so I know a lot of people talking about race and what's going on. I don't. Maybe there's a bigger issue than that. But why isn't he hired when he's been on a team that's won 2 Super Bowls, has shown offensive, efficiency. Pat Mahomes developed into one of the best. Pat Mahomes right now retires. He would be even the top 3 quarterbacks in NFL history if he
Right.
retires. And so that's a lot of Eric Bieniemy. He's done a great job with the running backs when he first started with the Chiefs and everything. And so people are like, "Oh, Thomas, hold on, Thomas, hold on. It's Andy Reid, Andy Reid." Really? Let's go back some history. Matt Nagy was offensive coordinator for 2 years, 2016 and 2017. They didn't even win the Super Bowl. They won a year after and got a head coaching job. Didn't call plays. It was Andy Reid. Doug Peterson was the offensive coordinator with Andy Reid and got a head coaching position. Oh, and by the way, Nick Sirianni was part of Andy Reid's tree and then got fired, but then went to the Colts and moved over, right? So why isn't Eric Bieniemy getting a job? It is an insult to the NFL that he has to now move from being an offensive coordinator to the Chiefs to the Washington Commanders, which, by the way, the Washington Commanders haven't had a good offense in 2 years. They've been ranked in the bottom 20, right? With Carson Wentz, with Sam Hall. So I was watching Colin the Herd, right? So I like Colin. So he's a good
Hmm.
guy.
Got it, Colin.
He's talking about why does it matter for most head coaches don't even call their own plays.
Right.
Actually, the ones that used to call their own plays got fired. He said
Right.
there's few people that call plays. He's like Brian Dable didn't call plays. He was smart about it.
Hmm.
Frank Wright wasn't calling plays when he like so you need to be a leader in charisma. Everybody talks about how great of a leadership Eric Bieniemy has. The players love him. I really feel that he would actually help a team, wink, wink, had a coaching job, getting some free agents over because he's
Hmm.
well liked and is how he can relate to players, right? So why is he not getting a job? What even worse of an insult, the losing team of the Super Bowl, both their coaches got head coaching jobs. Now, do we really want to coach the Cardinals and the Colts? But it's still a job.
Yep.
But it's still a
Yeah.
job.
So,
How do you lose a Super Bowl and both your staffs get hired? I get why Spags didn't get hired, right? Steve Spagnuolo, the defense coordinator, he was a coach, didn't do too well. At least he got his shot, and he's getting much much older. Unfortunately, NFL, we have a gender, when it comes to age, right?
yeah.
Uh,
There's age
they think
bias.
you're
Yeah.
by age bias, right? We always talk about, they're adding more gender, but also we have an age problem too. Once you get around, once you get past 55, 56, and you're not a real known name, you don't really get paid. They want to get the young gun, the Sean McVays, who's going to be the hot Zach Taylors, who's going to be that
Yeah.
hot new thing, right? The
Yeah.
new idea and Mike McDaniels type of thing. So I get it. But Eric Bieniemy's 52 years old, I believe 53. But if he doesn't get a head coaching job in 2 years, 3 years, he's going to be an assistant, right? And I'm
Yeah.
thinking in my head, Ty, when I think about this, and our viewers, I really want you guys to do this. What offensive coordinator have you seen in our history of the NFL that's won Super Bowls that's not got a job? And I going back. Norv Turner got. I was going back to people like what I couldn't find one. I actually did research. I was at the college board and I
Hmm.
went through all the different ones and I could not find one single person that
Hmm.
was like that was on a team that was offensive coordinator that won multiple Super Bowls and didn't even get a head coaching job.
Yeah.
It's a problem. So there's something. I don't know. I really don't understand it. I don't. It
I,
just
I
doesn't
don't
make sense.
I don't either. I mean, that was a great take. I mean, I can't dispute anything you said. Those are facts, and that's what we try to do. We speak facts and data. You might have an opinion, but you can't dispute the facts. And the facts is this guy's got credentials. I've heard all these different things about him, but again, I just hope for the best for the guy. He's going to be an
Right,
associate head coach, and I just hope he gets to prove anybody that are doubters wrong. And
right,
is successful. Now, yeah,
right.
I'm not a huge Washington Commanders fan, clearly as a Cowboys fan. So they're nice that they have a good offense, but then they don't beat us. But I do wish the guy some
Yeah.
success.
Even the Texans didn't even offer him a job when they were getting all the fake head
S-
coaching
So that's but that's the yeah, and that's kind of my thing because I know people are like, man, it's race. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if it's that because then they hired D'Amico Ryans. So
Three black coaches in a
right,
row.
right. So I was like, it's not that. Like, there's something with him, and I don't know what it is. I'm not in those rooms, and I don't get it. I'm like with you. It doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. Like zero
Right,
sense. But
right,
I'm not there.
right,
So I hope that he makes everyone feel stupid for not hiring him. He kicks some butt. He gets his own pick of a job, and he doesn't have
mhm,
to go to a crappy place. And then becomes a coach for the rest of his career, like Mike Tomlin. And
right.
that's really what I'm hoping for him, that he doesn't
Yeah,
have to settle to be like go be the Bears coach, and when we're gonna get rid of Justin Fields, you're gonna have no quarterback, something like that. Like I don't
yeah,
want him to get anything like that. So
yeah. And maybe he takes over, but I don't want to make fun of it, but I'll shed a little positive. Well, not positive light, but just like I always use metaphors. He's literally that 20-year plant manager that can't get to corporate. I don't know why
Mhm.
it is. It's just like you're like this guy's been here. He knows more than everybody else. He could move. Without him, he's the one getting called late night. Like the
Mhm.
plant is about to something's happening in the plant. You're late night, but yeah, he can't go to corporate, and you're trying to figure out why. Because he articulates well. It's just that's what's happening to him. He's like so. My prediction. I'll end at this. I really think Ron Rivera is going to get fired next year. Maybe he takes the head coaching job. He's been there 4 years, and they made one playoff when they were 7-9. By the way, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so maybe he'll get the job.
That's
And,
facts.
so,
Yeah, man. Well, thanks. It was another great episode. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And next week we'll be having some other good topics for you guys. And I hope you have a good week. Talk
all
to you
right,
guys
guys,
soon.
take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.